But if we have a strong fire that we have honored, that we have tended to, that fire is going to help us clean and clear the system and burn through that toxin residue and push it out. Hello and welcome to the Fusionary Health Podcast. It's me, your host, Dr. Shivani Gupta, and I am so excited for this solo episode today. So we're going to dive into a topic that is very near and dear to my heart. And I'm really excited for you guys to finally learn about this thing that I have been working on, really defining and formulating into a framework or a blueprint or a true tool that you can use. And I've been working on this for over a year now, and it's going into my new book, my Hay House book called The Inflammation Code, that's coming out spring 2026. And so if you don't know me, hi, I'm Dr. Shivani Gupta. I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner. I'm the author of The Inflammation Code. And today I'm unveiling the heartbeat of my work. And I am calling this elemental design. Now, that's a new word. It's a new phrase. It's one that came to me like lightning when I was really trying to define the scope of all this work that I've been trying to teach for the last decade or so. So this isn't just a tip. It isn't like a trend. It's actually a framework. And I have spent a decade refining this, working with hundreds of clients, talking to thousands of people about their inflammation and their struggles. And this was a pattern that I saw over and over. And finally, everything clicked. And I realized we have to approach our health in a different way, or we're always going to be chasing our tail. So if you've ever said, I'm doing everything right, I'm eating well, I'm moving, I'm getting those steps, I'm trying to hydrate with the electrolytes, I'm taking good supplements, I'm trying to sleep well, I'm doing a lot of the things for my health, but why don't I feel better? Then this episode is for you, because I'm going to dive into a different way of thinking and a different approach to our pillars of health compared to how we've seen it in the past. So it might be perimenopause that's bothering you. It might be menopause symptoms. It might just be a busy, intense life that you're leading right now. And your body is sending you signals all day long. Maybe you're not listening to them, and maybe you are. Most people ignore those signals. And I'm here to bring an awareness to the fact that those signals are there for a reason. They are sending you messages. And our job is to pause and look at those signals and really address them. And so elemental design teaches you how to read those signals and respond to them in real time, really calibrating to yourself and what your body is saying to you so that you can learn to actually intuitively respond to those signals and support yourself to stay more balanced and to stay healthier and to really have that harmony with your body that you're seeking. So it's your personal operating system. That's what elemental design is. It's your own operating system for how to have that calm energy, that better sleep, that stable mood, that happier digestion, and fewer inflammatory flares. My dream is that you use this kind of like a tuning fork, like a quick check that keeps you in equilibrium and at the highest levels of joy and health. So do this with me. Open up shivanigupta.com/quiz. Pause this episode for a second, unless you're driving, then please don't take my quiz while driving. But if you aren't driving and you aren't in motion, pause and go take the elemental design quiz. It's a 2-3 minute quiz, but what you're going to learn is what is your individual elemental design. Now you can even pause this and come back to me, but what I would love is for you to know for sure what your primary elemental design is, so you can come to understand where you stand, and then you can apply that wisdom to everything that we're going to talk about. And so in Ayurveda has always taught us that there are 3 organizing forces that decide our individual constitution. And Ayurveda calls that the doshas. And we all have all 3 of those doshas. Now, your blend of the doshas and the way you apply it to every single aspect of your life is what I am calling elemental design. For a long time, I kept thinking, okay, this life that I have, I've truly designed it to be so optimized. I've designed it to be efficient. I've designed it to be so joyful and so deep. And I've built a foundation of health that's so robust that even though things come by and try to knock me over, this year was a year of mold and things like that, the foundation that I've built is so strong and I'm so in tune with my health, things don't take me down. And so that opportunity to design based on your primary elements is something that's really important to me. It's something that I've taught my clients for the last decade through all my programs. And now it's a central tenet to the book I've written that I'm soon going to be sharing with all of you. And so once you've taken that quiz, you're going to get a response and you're going to get some quick answers about yourself and some emails that follow up with it that explain you even more deeply, which I think is really fun. And so the first elemental design that I'm going to talk about today is called Vata. Vata is made up of the elements of air and space. So imagine the tendency of air. It's free flowing, it's always moving. If it's, for example, in a ceiling fan form, it's constantly in motion. If you have too much wind, you get really dried out. So that's a trait of Vata as well. It's all the innate movement in our lives, conscious or unconscious. And so Vata is known to have a creative spark. This is your artist, your creative person, someone who has so many ideas, who loves ideas. This is someone who's thin and wiry, typically taller or shorter than anyone in their demographic. Tend to have oval face, thinner bones, smaller fragile bones, or like a smaller frame. This is someone who may forget to eat lunch. They start their day and they just keep going and they survive on coffee, green juice, like beverages, but they forget to eat meals, which I find so interesting. I'm not one of those people. When they're super high in Vata, they tend to be wired but tired. They have a tendency towards anxiety, tendency towards dry skin and constipation, tend towards waking up at 3 a.m. and having insomnia. And so if you're a Vata person and that sounds like you, there's actually a way to balance your Vata into every single aspect of your life. And it's not complicated. It actually becomes pretty easy, pretty intuitive, and it can be a complete game changer. Imagine if right now you could fix your gut, your sleep, you could start projects and finish them, which is a problem with Vatas. You could feel like you were actually focused and you were actually settled inside of your own body instead of always feeling like you were in this anxious on the go state. That would feel pretty good. And that's my goal for every Vata dominant person, is to show you how to have that feeling of groundedness within you, and each simple free tool from Ayurveda to help you get there. Then we have the Pitta crew. Pitta. In the West, we pronounce it Pitta. But Pitta people are fire. So this is your person who's medium-bodied, reddish skin, reddish hair, maybe early graying in the hair. This is someone who is a get-it-done person. They are passionate. They are all the words that define fire. They're ambitious. They're driven. They're motivated. They're good leaders. They're very organized. This is your really focused, get-it-done person. And when they're high, when Pitta fire is high or imbalanced, this is someone who tends to get hot, snappy. They have inflammation, reflux, night sweats, maybe even super over perfectionist is something that comes out. I like to define Pittas as people who explode on everyone around them like a volcano. So this is your person who gets hangry and angry and you just don't want to know them when they're imbalanced. And you might have some people in your life who are like this. And so the best way to support Pitta is a lot of cooling tactics and really customizing diet, food, beverages, self-care practices to build a rhythm that keeps them on their right track. Because leveraging Pitta to be successful can be pretty easy once you understand how to stay balanced with your Pitta fire. Then we have Kapha. Kapha is made up of earth and water. In the US, we pronounce that Kapha, or in the West, we pronounce it Kapha. And so earth and water means all the tendencies of Mother Earth, grounded, really solid, really nurturing, really a feeling of wholeness and nurture. And then the water piece can be dampness, congestion, things like that. So it's important to watch both of those elements in Kapha. So a Kapha person is typically more solid. This is your person who's more sturdy, bigger boned, rounder figure, rounder face, round eyes, curly, oily hair, oilier skin. They're not dry like the Vata crew. And this is someone who's like a steady nurturer. They're loyal, they're patient, they're very one thing at a time. They're not going to go 200 miles an hour. And so when Kapha is imbalanced or running a little too high, when we have too much Kapha energy, we might feel heavy. We might feel really snacky, constantly eating. We might feel kind of puffy, inflamed, bloated. We might have low motivation, feeling depressed and low. Might feel like we're not being appreciated for everything we're doing. And so understanding Kapha energy is really important for yourself or for your spouse or for your children. Because imagine if you have someone who's very Kapha in your life and you're very Vata. You might be like, hey, get off the couch. Like, why aren't you getting off the couch? We've got places to go. We've got things to do. And so I have worked on and coached Pitta women who were married to Kaphas to say, hey, honor who this person is and support them in the ways you can support them, just like they support you. And so I really love the dance that occurs when we start to understand our loved ones better, how we can manage them, support them, how we can manage our kids, so that everyone in the whole house is more harmonious and more steady. And we've really done a life design that applies across everyone. So why is this framework and this blueprint that I've created such gold? Once you know who's driving today, who's driving the car called your life, your energy, your mood, then you know exactly which lever to pull, what to eat, how to wind down, which tea to brew, which breath to choose, which deep breathing technique you can pick up and instantly change your state. This is called instant personalization. It's also instant prevention. When we talk about preventive health and the amount of preventive health we all want to have in our lives, but what if you're spending all your time cold plunging or doing an infrared sauna or doing certain techniques when what you actually need is the opposite? That might be why you're not getting the results that you want to have. A lot of times I go to these huge biohacking conferences and I walk through all the tools and people are like, you haven't cold plunged yet? What? You have to cold plunge. I just look at them. And I know I look pretty modern, but the wisdom I carry is Ayurvedic. It's a 5,000-year-old wisdom. Kind of look at them like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. That doesn't fit my doshic constitution at this moment. Maybe one day, but not right now. And I have to honor myself. I know intuitively what is good or bad for me every single day. And that's my hope for all of you is you'll start to see like people will try to pull you in certain directions and this wisdom from inside will say, actually, no, we're not doing that. That's actually a hell no. Not even touching that. And that is your truth coming out. And we can tune to that tuning fork by supporting the body, by supporting the mind, by supporting our elemental design, our emotional body, our spiritual body, and truly bringing things into alignment. That's my dream for all of us. So take a quick scan for yourself. Are you buzzing today? Are you like all over the place? Mind going 200 miles a minute? Have you already skipped some meals? You might be a Vata person. You might have Vata tendencies, or your first or second constitution might be Vata. Are you hot? Are you running hot today? Are you over focused and over what is that word? Like over tightly trying to manage everything in your life? You might be a Pitta. Are you running really slow today? Feeling fatigued, feeling heavy, snacky, and just wanting to like comfort yourself all the time, but not even feeling comforted? That might be Kapha. That might be that you're more Kapha today. And so note that down. That is your first elemental read on yourself. And it's so important that we read ourselves and know ourselves. So again, pause. If you have not taken the dosha quiz after this episode or right now, go take that quiz. I want you to know for yourself what your elemental design is. It's such a powerful tool. If you've heard of Myers-Briggs, if you've heard of all of those personality tests that people take, the DISC assessment, why do we take those assessments? It's because we want to know about ourselves. We want to know what drives us, what makes us succeed, what makes us work better. Have you ever taken astrology quizzes? So many of us are into astrology. Have you taken your Harry Potter quiz and you know which Hogwarts house you belong in? I know mine. So if you've done all that, then you're into understanding yourself better. And that's where elemental design is just one more powerful layer on top of all that self-knowledge, self-awareness, maybe personal development, and work on your health that you've done. And now we get to add in this really beautiful next layer of understanding. Hi, I'm Dr. Shivani Gupta, and I created Fusionary Formulas because I believe everyone deserves a natural way to support their body's health. If you struggle with joint discomfort or stiffness, our turmeric gold delivers powerful curcumin in a form your body can truly absorb. It's science-backed with the highest quality ingredients and designed to support your body's natural inflammatory response. Take the next step in your health and wellness journey today. Visit fusionaryformulas.com and use code FusionaryHealth for 15% off. Fusionary Formulas, ancient wisdom, modern science, maximum impact. So let's talk about my 6 pillars that I teach in my new book, The Inflammation Code, and how elemental design is going to power each of those pillars. So pillar number 1 that I teach about is called Agni. Agni is your fire, your digestive fire within you. And so a strong Agni is actually so important because it prevents ama. I don't know if you've heard me say that term before, but ama from Ayurveda is this toxin residue that forms in the body from any number of actions. Could be from the foods we consume. Maybe it's processed foods, maybe it's seed oils. We are having a lot more knowledge about that, food dyes and all these things. Could be your self-care products, could be your cleaning products, could be stress. Stress alone can cause ama. Could be poor sleep, not cleaning and clearing the lymphatic system. So any number of things in life, EMF, there's a lot, Wi-Fi, there's a lot of things that can cause a toxin residue in the system. But if we have a strong fire that we have honored, that we have tended to, that fire is going to help us clean and clear the system and burn through that toxin residue and push it out. And then the beautiful result we get from that is we're building something called Ojas. Ojas is this deep reserve of vitality that we get to have as our byproduct of having beautiful digestion and reducing that toxic burden on the body, and thus reducing inflammation. If we're inflamed, we're always going to stay in this cycle of feeling all the symptoms of inflammation, but also truly damaging our insides like a forest fire. And so it's so important to take time to consistently reduce inflammation. The whole point of my book, The Inflammation Code, is to show you how to build a lifestyle that supports you in fighting inflammation, living an anti-inflammatory lifestyle, but also preventing all the end stage effects of inflammation. Growing up in my family, and I don't know about your family, but in my family, every time I went to India, I would see my grandparents, my aunts, my uncles, and someone would pass away from the end stage effects of diabetes. It was a heart attack, a stroke, a leg amputation, cancer diagnosis, Parkinson's. It was just bad. And I remember thinking, what is happening here? Is this life? Is that how life works? Like you work so hard to get an education, then you work so hard in your job, then you work so hard for your family. And this is how much you suffer in the last quarter of the game? That's horrific. Like, why are we signing up for this? Aren't we smart enough to try to prevent this? And that's what set me on my path to prevention. So when I teach you these terms, and they sound so weird and random, like Agni, Ama, and Ojas, don't just think, wow, this girl is teaching me crazy, weird words. Think for a moment. This is 5,000-year-old wisdom. It's been applied to billions of people over thousands of years, and it still rings true. It's still a preventive health system that works. How crazy is that? Do you go for acupuncture? Acupuncture is ancient Chinese wisdom. That's traditional Chinese medicine. And that is one subsect of it that you are experiencing, and it's supporting you as much as it is. Why? Because it's beautiful ancient wisdom built and tried and true over millennia. That knowledge is still so valid. So in the same way, Ayurvedic wisdom and our herbs, I talk a lot about turmeric and ashwagandha and adaptogens. Those herbs are still the same powerful herbs. And what I'm teaching you now is the entire way to life design using the lifestyle that supports that same result that you can get from the herbs. But you can now do it as your lifestyle as well. And that's when you get to keep the results that you're seeking. Because if all we do is take some pills, we're not going to win at our health. Pills are a great solution to get us out of the fire, to get us out of trouble. But guess what? Where are you going to end up again if you continue with the same behavior? You're going to end up in the same forest fire. And so that's my job, is to show you a new ideology, a new mindset, a new perspective, and a new approach towards your health. And so the goal, coming back to Agni and Ama, Agni is the fire. The goal of building this healthy, robust digestive fire, metabolism, and gut microbiome is to help you absorb all the good of all the good things you're doing and then get rid of the bad, because no one is perfect. We're all going to have some level of daily toxin burden, especially living in modern day life. And the byproduct you get is called Ojas. Now, anytime you have a surgery, anytime you take drugs to fix something, anytime you kind of get knocked off your pedestal, maybe it's a big virus or sickness, you might come back and feel like, you know what? I don't feel the same. I'm kind of tired. I don't have the same energy. That's because Ojas got knocked out. And our job is to rebuild it. So we have that glow. So we have that immunity. So we have that deep quality sleep. So we get our mojo back, really, is my goal in teaching Ojas. And so there are ways to customize how you eat, when you eat, the spices you eat, and the timing that you eat, all to support you in your custom elemental design. So you might be someone who's like, you know what, I'm doing like a 14-8 fast. Like, that's my new thing. That doesn't make sense. 14 and 10 fast. There's 24 hours in the day. It's so interesting how people so tightly jump on health trends to try to achieve their health goals. And I get it. I'll see something online. I'll be like, I'm going to try that. The 16-8 fast. Yeah. My body's like, no, that is not for you. Notice how you want to kill everybody. You're a Pitta. You got to eat a little more wide in the diet. You can't be that restrictive. You're not like a Kapha who has the resilience built in to handle that. And so that's where I'd love for you to really start to play with your elemental design, is start with food. Food's kind of an easier place to step in and start to quickly see the difference. So for example, a Vata person can do warm cooked foods. You might be a Vata and eating all salads and green juice. I need a lot of those. And if you instead try this idea for 2 weeks, move into more soups, more stews, more cooked foods, eat your vegetables cooked. Maybe gently spice them with warming spices. Any spices from the fall are actually very grounding. The nutmeg, the cinnamon, cumin, all of these are very warming, nutty spices. Even turmeric you can use. And don't skip any meals. That's the homework for Vata. 3 grounding meals a day. Now, let's say you're Pitta. You can do some intermittent fasting as a Pitta. You can hold a 12-hour fast, 14-hour fast. I wouldn't go too far beyond that. Pittas are meant to eat their 3 meals a day, but incorporate more cooling herbs and cooling foods. So fennel is cooling, mint is cooling. Earlier dinners are good for Pitta. So we have time to digest that dinner to get a really good night's sleep, to clear the fires and clear inflammation. Then Kapha. Kapha can have a lighter dinner and more spices in it that help with digesting it. Cumin helps with digestion. Turmeric is very beneficial. Peppers are very beneficial for digestion. And then avoid grazing. Might be that you love to graze. And so try this today. Make lunch your biggest meal. Add turmeric and black pepper into your life. You know, I love turmeric and kitchen turmeric and spice turmeric and all the ways we can do turmeric. But that's kind of like a simple way to start, is understand your elemental design and apply it to your diet first. Now, I have 6 more pillars, but I don't want to talk to you guys on here on the podcast for like 18 hours. And so I'm just going to cover what those pillars are. And in future episodes, we're going to dive into your elemental design, your primary and your secondary, and then how it applies into all these pillars of your life. And so my second pillar that I love to teach about is called Dinacharya. That's the daily and seasonal rhythms and self-care rituals that we can incorporate. It's what you do first thing when you wake up, first thing in the morning, what you do in the evening to downshift for your day, and then the seasonal tweaks that you do to help really customize to your elemental design. That can be a huge game changer. Understanding what seasons you tend to get it's not overwhelmed, but in what seasons you tend to get dysregulated or imbalanced more, and how you can serve yourself and support yourself pre and post season to stay more balanced and healthy. It might be that every summer and every fall you get burnt out. Maybe tune into that for a second. And in future episodes, I'll show you why that happens and how you can prevent that cycle from happening annually. Pillar number 3, I love teaching about is food and diet. And I know I covered food in a sense, but understanding truly how to bring these lifestyle practices in and what to eat for your constitution can be really powerful. What combination of protein, fiber, colors, spices, how you're moving in your day to support yourself and your specific elemental design. Another pillar I love to teach is herbs and super spices. If you know me, you know my PhD was on turmeric. I'm pretty obsessed with the herbs and spices of Ayurveda and what they can do. They are the true superfoods. And just bringing more culinary spices into your life can actually be very beneficial. If you're interested, I have cooking videos. They're on my YouTube channel in my kitchen where I teach how to make lentils and vegetables using the Indian spices, where each of those has such a powerful benefit. I also have a free cookbook right on my website. It's the anti-inflammatory cookbook. I'll make sure it's up for you guys when this podcast goes live. But I wrote that cookbook years ago to give you ideas as to how you can make lentils in a healthy way, which gives a lot of fiber and things like that. Then we have pillar number 5, detox. Now, detox might sound controversial. Some people think we need to detox. Some people think we don't. I find that so interesting. All the ancient wisdom practices for centuries have talked about detoxing as being important. And isn't that interesting considering how toxic the modern day lifestyle is? And now we're like, oh, I don't need to detox. No, there's no issues. I'm just perfect and fine. I'm like, yeah, all right, guys. We've got some work to do. And so the idea of detoxing is let's clear our channels. Let's have easier hormone metabolism. Let's have easier everything metabolism. Let's clear that inflammation. Let's clear the bloating. Let's improve the mood. Let's lighten up the system so it can actually function well. Let's support real cellular health so that as we're aging and things become more polluted and challenging for the body, we're making it easier for the body to heal and to do everything that it needs to do. And so that's a pillar where I love teaching how to customize using your elemental design. We're not all meant to detox the same way. We are not all meant to do things the same way. We're all so bio-individual. So customizing your health practices, each and every one that you reach for to yourself, can be that ultimate game changer that you've been waiting for. Again, I go to a lot of cool conferences. I walk around and I'll always say to myself, you're not buying anything on the first day. And so the second day, I take another circle and I've had time then to process everything I saw, sleep on it, think about it. I am lucky that I'm always researching and meeting all the best founders, a lot of whom you get to meet on this podcast. So you're getting the very filtered version of who I find, who I really respect, and who I found to talk about certain topics. But I'm really discerning based on my primary elements what I should and should not pick up. And I think that's the power of integrative medicine. That's the power of functional medicine. We're really looking at each person and saying, oh, you had a mold experience this year? We should approach it this way. We can't all approach it the same way. Or, oh, your gut is off. We don't all eat the same foods. We don't all need the same probiotics. We actually do need to customize our approaches. And then finally, a pillar that's really near and dear to my heart is one that I covered last month on a solo podcast episode, which is called mental inflammation. When I was writing my book, The Inflammation Code, and this first idea emerged called elemental design, the one quiz you could take and the one understanding that would give you a layer of understanding on top of everything else you do and help you customize and personalize everything you do. I realized there's this other piece called I could show you how to eat healthy. If I could walk into your house or show you in my house how I live a less toxic lifestyle, purify the air, purify the water, order great food, cook it in a less toxic way, store it in a less toxic way, I do all of that. If I could show you how to eat in a way that's nutrient dense and has nutrient variety and seasonality and circadian variety and circadian health built into it, that would be incredible too. Okay, great. We did the physical, but what about the mental emotional? If you are going to have mental inflammation 24/7, I'm sorry, you're not going to win at inflammation or your health. There's just no way. And so that's why when that phrase came into my brain, a lot of times I hang out with my guides and my angels and I pray and I'm like, please tell me how I'm going to help this point land. How am I going to show people this is important? And when that phrase came, I was like, thank you guys. That's amazing. That explains it. Mental inflammation. Your emotional mental state will dictate your health as well. And customizing your habits in your physical space with your self-care habits with the timing of your day will support you physically, which will then impact your mental emotional state and help you with your mental inflammation. I'm here to show you the self-care rhythm, the mindful moments, the anchor points, every tool I can according to your elemental design so that you can then reduce that mental inflammation and finally seal the deal on winning at inflammation. Inflammation, we know, is a root cause issue. I could say the same phrase again. I'm going to show you how to use your elemental design to win at everything and finally mental inflammation so that you can have not just inflammation reduced, everything else. What if it's your fatigue? What if it's your poor sleep? What if it's your energy? What if it's your sluggish metabolism? What if it's your hormone imbalance? Maybe it's perimenopause, menopause. Maybe it's chronically stressed and never able to just be at peace. So that's my dream, is to show you how to use this combination of tools from Ayurveda, this ultimate toolkit, so that you can win at your health. And so I encourage you, go take the elemental design quiz, understand for yourself what your primary elements are. And this elemental design is really the central tenet of my book. And every pillar that I'm teaching you becomes easier for your health when it's tuned into your design. So my goal for you is to stop white knuckling with your health. Stop fighting so hard with your body and your health. And instead start partnering with your body. It's a partnership. You need your body to come with you. We can't just always muscle through with our mind and say, I'm going to force my body to do these 100 things. That might be why you have some resistance. So go ahead to my website, shivanigupta.com, take the quiz. You'll see your primary and your secondary elements, and I'll send you a simple starter map on how to eat, how to move, how to wind down, how to spice your day for your specific design. And then you're going to get invites. You're going to see I've created some 7-day resets. I actually have a lot more of these things coming out over the rest of 2025 that I'm building right now for you guys. And this inflammation reset blueprint, it's my dream that all of you take a moment, understand it, apply it to your life, and then share it with someone you love. The whole point of this podcast is I have the honor of teaching, sharing Ayurveda, and also interviewing these incredible experts in the space who really highlight the importance of vagus nerve, inflammation, hormone health, thyroid health. We've seen it all, functional medicine. And so my hope is you'll take each of these episodes and share it with someone you love, someone who could benefit, someone who it'll open up a door in their mind and they'll think, oh, I could look at my health a little differently. We all want to help the people we love stay here on this planet longer. We all want them to have healthier, longer lives of higher quality. I hear every day, wow, thank you. I'm so interested in this turmeric. My mom needs that. My dad needs that. And I always think, yeah, who else do we love but our parents, our children, the people around us? And so please share this with someone you love. Please apply this to yourself. And I can't wait to see you on next week's episode of the Fusionary Health Podcast. You have my website. The podcast is housed there, and so many free guides and 7-day challenges, the cookbook, and anything else I can come up with. If you want to reach out and do a consultation with me, I do Ayurveda consultations as well. For those who want to dig deeper, I also do free discovery calls, probably not much longer, but I love doing those as well, just to see if you need help and if I can point you in the right direction. So I hope you stay well. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast, and I'll see you guys next week for the next episode. Thanks for joining me for this episode. Check out our sponsor, Fusionary Formulas, the potent turmeric supplement used by doctors around the U.S. for patients with pain and inflammation. www.fusionaryformulas.com. I'm your host, Dr. Shivani Gupta. For more, visit shivanigupta.com. Subscribe to this podcast in Spotify or Apple Podcasts. click the follow button or subscribe in any of the apps that you use. That's all I've got for you on the Fusionary Health podcast this week. You have the power to transform your health and achieve vibrant health starting today.